Hello and welcome to another video on my channel. This is episode number 23 in my Comprehending Consciousness series. My name is Allie from amariespeaks.com, and I am making this series here as sort of short educational, informational videos offering up to people who might be new to waking up or new to a spiritual journey or soul evolution, and maybe you're becoming exposed to some of these new terms and phrases that we see so much in the collective of, like, the spiritual world, the new age realm, 5D, whatever you want to call it or envision it as. Sort of subset or counterculture, I guess, is the broadest terms that you could think of it as. And like any, subset, there is lingo, there's jargon, there is slang, right? And with these words, so many of them are sort of like makeup or glitter, right? We look at it as things applied to cover and present a more beautiful experience or feeling. But with that kind of goes the knowing that it's false, that it's fake, that it's made up, right? So a lot of these terms that we hear, they have this sort of first layer, this very thin ice across them that really in the mainstream and in a lot of the counter building cultures out in 5D or whatever, a lot of people are and will be very wrapped up in that surface level meaning, and whether they use that for their own self-serving benefits and it's really more of a mask to keep them going, or whether they see it and toss it aside and just say, oh, that's meaningless, oh, that's so silly and stupid, other people see worth in that, kind of like fool's gold, or the way I personally feel about makeup. I don't ever wear makeup, and I don't care to, and I don't see it as valuable. I see it as a falsity, and it's just meaningless to me. So don't waste my time on it. I wouldn't. Some people feel like that about these kinds of terms. Woke. Sacred feminine and masculine, right? Self-love. Thinking off the top of my head terms that I've done episodes on, right? There's number 22 already. So bear with me this morning. But it's obvious, kind of. I hope it is, at least. Certain terms and phrases that get, tossed aside more than others. And I'm bringing this all up here at the beginning of episode 23, really to put the nail in the coffin about this, because abundance is the topic for this morning, and that, like the law of attraction, which I just talked about previously, and manifesting, really fall into this glitter category, with self-love, love and light. Unconditional love can get thrown in there too, and that is a working in itself. Each of us has to come to our own individual, unique calling and resonance to real truth. And until we do, and until we really want to pull back layers and do our own examining and really bring things into like a conceptual weighing in our own minds, right, then it really doesn't matter, because we're going to cast our judgments as quickly, as we choose. So, and these videos really aren't for the masses anyways. They're for those people who are waking up, who are curious, who hear that word abundance and say, could there be more to that? I like the idea of that. It can't be all made up, right? And that's the beauty of these terms. Again, they're seeded with truth, right? We have underlying, undeniable truths in this universe, makeup, reality, whatever. And when we hear a calling to something, when you feel something, ding, ring, give you a little flag, a cue, a curiosity, a pulling towards, a seeking. When you are personally interested in a nuance of something, right? It is resonating with your truth and with your purpose here. And that in itself is that beautiful seeking of intention, of manyness calling to be discovered by you, the creator. And that's what this journey should really be about. So hopefully, if you're feeling that way, right, you're waking up and you can go explore those. And you'll find things that resonate specifically to you and your individualities, right? And that's what this whole beautiful thing is about. That's why I birthed this series, to hopefully inspire people to, after they hear this quick little tour of the iceberg, they will put their diving gear on and go do it themselves and find the secrets for themselves, right? So let's jump right into the term abundance. Now, this follows off of episode 22, which I just did previously the other day. I don't do these episodes sequentially, so to speak, all the time, but sometimes they do. They follow through beautifully. And so if you didn't see the Law of Attraction episode and you're interested to hear my take on it and listen about it, you can jump back and listen to that now or later or whatever. But abundance is kind of like the frequency or the vibe, the feeling that the Law of Attraction and manifesting should bring us, right? Now, when we hear the regular term abundance, in everyday life, it kind of seems like a goal out there in the future, right? It's kind of like seems like a planning thing that you could get to, or maybe like a state that some people get to at some point. And that in itself is a great inversion, right? It's taking the carrot from our hand, and instead of letting us eat it, it's putting it on a stick out there. Now, first and foremost, I'd like to just talk about the misconception quickly, which is kind of like abundance is many things. It's material items. It's having everything you've ever wanted and could ever think of, just having it. Like every new shirt, every new clothes, like car, or new little like doodad knickknacks, all the little things that people want and or believe that they want and need, this term abundance, generally you would just think of like amassing giant amounts of wealth, financially, material, assets and things like that. And then we think, oh, well, only rich people, only super wealthy, only, the creme de la creme or upper class society can and will ever experience abundance. And again, this is, an inversion or a tricking. They seed the undeniable truths with all of these periphery lies that tie it up very tightly. And most of us don't ever look to see, the knots and all the tying arounds and pull at the strings and say, wait a minute, this doesn't seem exactly right, and realize it could come apart in a second. And abundance is like that, because abundance in itself is, like I said, a frequency, a vibe. It is also an undeniable organic truth. Abundance in itself really is not an hill or a mound, or it's not found in a bank or in a vault. It is limitlessness. It is resources, right? It is eternity, infinite, ever-flowing recycling, responsibility of renewal and recommitment, right? A faith in that cycle really is what abundance is. And if we could loosen our our imaginations up a little bit here and really remember and understand and step into our universe and our reality. Yes, it feels super three-dimensional and physical, and we are really forced into believing that materialistic is the way to go, and the only thing that matters in this life. However, we are in a multi-dimensional, multifaceted kind of soup here, right? We are energetic beings in this energetic universe. And, excuse me, energy kind of rules, right? I talk about this a lot, and if you haven't seen my other episodes and you're new to me in the channel, I highly resonate with the field theory and ether and understanding that this is sort of like an electrical, etheric soup of a reality that we sit in and that we operate within. And that, yes, it's like electronic, energetic osmosis, kind of intentional conversations and waving through energy and electricity constantly. And so abundance in itself is a vibration, a frequency. It is enoughness. It is full. It is that connection to your own eternal flame, or your source cord, or your connection to God, you know, your soul, whatever you like to see that inner peace as, right? It is an unlocking of that, really. It's full faith in knowing that that is eternal, that can never be taken or gone or tainted or changed. It is always there and always flowing, right? Like a torrential of energy around us. You've ever seen a torus or a donut, right? A magnetic field, you know, it resonates out. And basically, understanding and aligning with abundance, the true meaning of abundance is knowing that working and understanding you are an energetic, eternal being and tapping into the fuel that's available to you there. And that is limitlessness. It is knowing that everything will always be taken care of, that you will never lack or never be left destitute, in despair, or wanting, in need of things. And yeah, that basically in itself is abundance. And it's super difficult. Yes, it looks simple and beautiful on the outside. It does have that very thin makeup layer on it. It's beautiful. But it's even more beautiful when we take it off and realize there's deep, deep waters under there. Just search and uncover and reside within. And they all feel really great and positive. Excuse me. So yeah, abundance in itself, like I said, it is the feeling and the vibe that ties into the law of attraction and manifesting, because when we know we are enough and when we reside within this conscious awareness of limitlessness, of a magical manifestation, right? The universe out there, it hears it. It's like ding, 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 all along the line of opportunities, potentialities out there. You know, they hear your calling of energetic intention to align with it in the future, and it lights it up. It creates more manyness, more potentials out there. It's calling more towards you because it has more in alignment with you, right? And that's what really fuels and harnesses this, what we call the law of attraction or manifesting, when things that you have thought of, desired in your heart, have called out to seeking, pop into your world without you doing much work towards them, right? And it almost seems counterintuitive, but we have to remember we have been forced with this like materialistic perspective set onto us to believe that abundance is only available to the wealthy. Manifestation is absolute nonsense. It is made up in your mind and cannot happen in the real world. And that you're not worthy. It all taps back down to the underlying, and hopefully it's not a truth for you, but so many of us struggle with this falsity truth that we feel we are not worthy. And it can really ring true to that age-old lie we told ourselves. Well, I guess I don't deserve it. Well, I guess it's not meant for me. Well, it is what it is. It's just not my time, or whatever it is. We have all of these things that we fall back into, these uncomfortable states of homeostasis that we sort of fall into and just reconfirm our negative self-fulfilling prophecies. and that, again, and I'll say this as closing, that is the opposite realm, but the same workings of the law of manifestation, right? Negative self-fulfillment, these prophecies that we put out there and that we tell ourselves, and then they end up happening. That's the same thing. That's the law of attraction at work. It's just on that negative side of the spectrum, because we live in polarity and duality, right? And the callings, your shadow, your negative side, does just as much calling and manifesting practice and work as, your light side does. Especially when you're not conscious of that work. Sometimes your shadow does even more than your light. And then you get really screwed because bad things come into your world and you're like, why is this happening to me? And then that feeds, again, that unworthy fake truth that we've been given. It also creates huge victim mentality, and it feeds into the slave model that I talked, so much about with the servitude cycle. But the law of attraction, this energetic exchanges, and the idea and promise of abundance, the gift that we have, that we can all tap into any moment that we choose while we're alive here to feel abundant, that's really been tainted and twisted to be used in, conjunction with the negative overlay of the matrix that unfortunately we're all birthed into here. So it takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of decompressing and pulling layers back, internal introspection, working with yourself to really understand your own definitions of abundance, and how you're blocking yourself from it, or how your false conceptions or your false promises about it have really changed you and forced you into maybe, feeling a state of lack, or feeling wants and needs like you're not enough, right? So I hope this has been enlightening. I really don't want to go too much longer. I try to keep these videos, about 15 minutes long, to catch new people who, might not be super interested but are a little interested. So if I have sparked your curiosity in abundance, I did share a blog audio podcast that I did talking a bit about abundance and how we can get into unconditional love, and also about the beautiful organic abundance of Mother Earth. I talked about that in the Mother Earth videos that I did on Comprehending Consciousness as well. That was, 10 videos ago or something. Maybe I will link those, so if you're interested and didn't see them before, you can find the link easily in the description. But yes, abundance ties into organic nature and Mother Earth so beautifully. That's why I love to see it as an undeniable truth in this reality construct. It's some kind of law or rule. So if that kind of line of thinking about abundance sparks your curiosity, check out that podcast. I am also going to be doing a follow-up podcast to talk more about my actual work with a lack mentality, I guess I will call it, or coming from a poverty mindset is sort of where I have been, and where I've broken out of, or I'm working to break out of. So I'm going to do a podcast to sort of talk through actual life experiences and points of working that I have actually done to sort of chisel out and smooth over those really hard spots that happen to us when we're birthed into this life in a place of financial chaos and worry, and feeling not enough in this 3D physical realm, right? And then also the emotional stigmas that come on top of it, and when we grow in our childhood through trauma and abuse and painful feelings on top of financial issues, right? It creates a mountain of things to work through, like I was talking about before. So if you're at a place like that, or if you feel like you have a mountain of things on top of you and you really want to dig under and find your true abundance, then please join me for my next podcast, which I'm going to do later today. So I'll link it below. Later in the day, pop back in the video and see, or tomorrow, whatever. check for the link, or you can always just go over to Spotify and find my podcast over there when I do publish this new episode, which will be later today, November 2nd. So thank you so much for joining me, episode number 23 on my Comprehending Consciousness series, which was about abundance. I hope you found it enlightening and has cleared a little bit of the fake, trashy chaos around the concept. And yeah, if you find this interesting or you'd like to hear more from me, you can always find me on Telegram in the meantime, t.me@amariespeaks, or you can find me directly on my website, amariespeaks.com. So thank you again so much for joining me, and I will talk to you soon.